Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Endless Celts Podcast. I hope you're all well who's watching. I'm delighted to be joined by my deadly duo partner, Franny, and the Marathon man, Ross. How are you?
All good,
All
mate.
good, Stephen. All good.
Absolutely
Good, good.
fucking freezing sitting in this house. Not like to put the heating on, but apart from that,
I
all
mean,
good.
cost of living and all, Ross. You know, you have to
Aye.
take cuts where you
Aye.
can. It's a
But
shambles,
but
you
I
know what I mean?
mean, just because you've been standing in front of a cooker cooking pasta all night and you're hot, it doesn't mean I'm hot. Just an hour, just to take a chill out there. That's all I'm asking.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. After she watches this, she'll be taking a chill out of you. A couple of backhanders.
She can probably
But
hear me the
but we'll get all the glossy stuff out of the way. Our show's sponsored Beer 52 down here and below Ross. Cracking bit of kit, subscription-based service to send you out beer. Claim your free beer on us, cover the postage. The link is in the description below. And then after that, it's like a rolling thing. You'll get a case every month from all around the world. Magazines to read, culture to learn about, different beers and all that type of stuff. And there was Super 6 during the week. And Franny, you are still off the top spot. Sean Ross is top with 128 points. Franny at second with 126. Kevin Hampsey 120. Alistair Jack 118. And rounding off the top five is our very own William Dobbin with 117 points.
Ooh.
And there's obviously Super 6 this weekend as well. So get your scores in. Keep this twat off the top spot. Sean Ross, you're doing a cracking job. But we'll get stuck right into it, fellas. I'm actually, we'll go to the comments first of all. Even to you, Patrick, Jed, Paul, Dad, Kenny, Podrick, Alistair, 100%. And then Podrick again. I think a bit of advice to you. Worst time to do washing, etc., is between 4 and 9 p.m. No idea,
Yep.
man. But we'll start. RB Leipzig there, Ross during the week. Packed Paradise. A brief summary before we get in depth in it all. How do you feel?
Tinge of disappointment, but the realist in me before the game, I felt if we got a draw out it, we'd be doing very well. In terms of the game, I thought for the first maybe 15 minutes, I thought it was looking really ominous. Leipzig were looking quite slick, passing the ball about pretty well. Wasn't it we couldn't get out our own half, but they were sort of controlling things. But then we found our feet, came back into the game, made numerous chances, as we'll probably touch upon later on. Again, like all the other games, I think we went toe to toe with a really good team and held our own for large parts of the game. But again, we'll say it numerous times. 3 out of the 4 games, I would have to say, in my opinion, we've rued not taking the lead, and once we lose that goal, it's very difficult.
Yeah. I think as well, like for me, like I didn't sugarcoat how I felt, never really do among you lads. I was absolutely raging, to be fair. I still think for me it's a failure that we didn't kind of put more of do you know what I mean, a chance for ourselves to compete and go forward in this Champions League, Franny. And I know Paul Dack came in there, said it was a tale of missed chances in all 4 games, but you have to take them opportunities at this level. We brought RB Leipzig back, and we were all talking about it previously, albeit the result in Germany didn't go our way, but we're hoping we could get a result at Parkhead. It wasn't to be. And I mean, how do you feel overall in regards to
I was a wee bit deflated, I think, because after seeing the game, it was 3 weeks ago, I think, when we played them over in Germany, Linux, had the international stuff and things like that. But you realise that Leipzig were a good team, and it was always going to be a hard task to try and get a positive result on Tuesday night. But you're still optimistic going into it that if you create chances, you might take them. But I think, like Paul Dyke said, there it was just the campaign was all about missed chances, and it's just the fine margins at this level. You need to take the chances. I think I know a lot of folks say that they hate the process chat type thing, but the way we're playing, I think, is a positive way of playing, and it's the right. It's giving us a chance. Do we need better strikers? I don't know. I don't think so. I just think it's these guys need to realise and need to be more clinical at this level, and take their chances. like it is just massive fine margins. Like you're saying, if we don't qualify, well, obviously we can't qualify at the Champions League. It's failure. We could still. I said it earlier. It was 7 points on Tuesday night. Potentially got you second. 7 points now potentially gets us last. It's a mental way to look at it, Stephen. It's fine margins at this level. We need to. I think we do. You do need to look at the chances we've created and say we need. If we're a wee bit more clinical, it's a total different argument we're having.
I remember when we did the reaction to the draw, Ross, and we're all buzzing. We got this group and we all give our predictions back then. I think I said second, a couple of you lot said third, and no one really said last place. And it's quite frightening, frightening the prospect of us finishing last in this group. And that's why I'm going to, like I say, like for my opinion, if we don't qualify for any European competition, no Champions League is out the window. For me, it's just a missed opportunity. And you look back at the Shakhtar game away, and we've talked about this lots in this podcast. That for me is one of the biggest letdowns of the whole campaign so far. It was there to be dropped 2 points, as Franny always said, 2 points lost. I totally agree with that. But it's another defeat now in this group, and I think like in terms of Scottish clubs as well, Ross and John, who is on a breaking note for the podcast, he was quite clear in what he said today in terms of what he thinks. But we'll give our take on it. We're kind of through him with the cluster of the Scottish clubs when we're talking about defeats in Europe. And yes, we've had 3 defeats and 1 draw. Isn't great reading. And then we're through in against the likes of our neighbours across the road and Hearts as well, who got pumped 5-1 by Florentina there as well. I mean, for Scottish clubs in general, it doesn't seem good, but one stark difference I can take from it and a wee bit of confidence from it is we are definitely performing better than the other Scottish clubs involved in Europe. We're definitely giving the better account of ourselves. And I know the media likes to throw us in, obviously, with the contingent and say we're not performing up to scratch and the coefficients being affected, we're letdowns and blah, blah, blah. But for me, it's night and day. We're definitely giving a better account for ourselves in European football. I mean, what's your take on that?
I would have to fully agree with that. And it's sort of, I said it in the group chat the other day, it's one of my bugbears is Tuesday night, Celtic lose. They compete, as I've said, as we all know, and it's a Celtic issue. Rangers lose and Hearts lose, and it's a Scottish football issue. Pisses me off that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put Celtic in alongside Rangers and Hearts at the moment. And by the way, Rangers in any given day, I'm Kenny, yes. Rangers on any given day could beat Celtic, right? But for me, Celtic are a better team. It's Rangers and Hearts haven't performed well at all in Europe this season. Celtic have performed well. They've just not got that last final wee bit of the jigsaw. I mean, it sounds like I'm copying Ange, but I've been saying this, like most of us have been saying it for weeks. We are competing and we belong in the Champions League, and we haven't looked out of place once. We've just fell short a wee bit at times, and I hear people talking about like, are we fit enough and stuff like that, and for me, I think we are fit enough. But the problem being is, when you're playing against these teams, don't get me wrong, Celtic have had spells, they've went toe-to-toe, but for the most part in these games, you're playing against these teams, and they've got the ball, and they're making you chase the ball. And when you're chasing the ball, they keep the ball. But Celtic are a good footballing side, but these teams keep the ball better than Celtic. And when you're chasing the ball for most of the game, more than half of the game, it takes it out the legs. I mean, you get to 60 minutes and you start to fade fitness-wise because you're chasing the ball. And when Celtic are getting the ball, they are passing it well, but they're not keeping the ball for as long periods as the other team. Takes it out you. And then that's when you start to see, most of the time, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Celtic have lost an early goal in any of these games. But I think they've lost.
Not particularly, not particularly.
They've started, once they've started to fade fitness-wise, when the teams have passed it really well and started to drain us, that's when we've started to concede the goals. And I think the other night, you could see it coming. Like, the longer it went 0-0, I never thought the game was going to finish 0-0 and would take a point. It was either we were going to get a goal or Leipzig were going to get 1 or 2. That was it. And it's just the level we're at. Listen, people have, yourself, I think, even have said about Club Brugge performing well. And Ange said it again today. It sounds like I'm just like sort of copying him, but it is my thoughts. Like, it's our first year. All these players are new to this, but I think we've got a good quality player in our team, and I think they've proven that in this campaign. They've just fell short. I think it's coupled with injuries now. Not at the start, but we were playing Real Madrid. Coupled with injuries now, and then guys like what you would perceive as your top man, Kyogo, whatever way you want to put it, he's out of form.
Yep.
That is not a good recipe, especially when you're playing at that level. It makes it even more difficult than it already is. And my worry is that we're at this. That's 4 games now, right? Everybody's saying, right, we're just not clinical enough. The players will keep hearing that. And my worry is that it'll be like that mental block, like what Neil Lennon's first team had at Hampden, where everybody said they couldn't win at Hampden. Similar, this mental block where we can't score in the Champions League, or we can't be clinical enough in the Champions League. We need to get over that hurdle. We need to go over it soon to put it to bed. And there's no time like the present. In the Shakhtar game, the next home one, I think it's maybe a couple of weeks away, but let's try and get over that hurdle soon. And for me, you play Giakoumakis in that game. Unless Kyogo comes into a bit of form between now and then, Giakoumakis starts.
Yeah, I mean, now we know who writes Celtic's press conferences. There's Ross there. Where have we heard all that before? Big
I know, it sounds like I'm copying him, but I've bloody said it for weeks.
But I
He's
do
right.
want to come to the
That's what he does.
I do want to come to the comments before I come to you, Franny. Kenny, by the way, wanted to know what wine are you on? So what kind are you drinking?
Let me see now. It is a Sauvignon Blanc Estevez Chilean wine.
Wow, unbelievable! £3 for me.
I think it's about £7 in the what wine kit.
Dead Thomas, I'd be worried if we weren't making chances, but we are. Just go through a bad spell at the moment. Paul Dad, if you make a mistake in the SPFL, 9 times out of 10 you get away with it. In the Champions League, a mistake, 9 times out of 10 you're punished. Patrick McLaughlin, I think next summer we should be buying Hacksaw, another quality midfielder, and a centre half to complement CCV and a top goal scorer to improve in the Champions League. Again, areas to improve.
Is Hacksaw only on loan?
No, he's not. I don't know where that's coming from. But your man's on loan, Abelgard. And then Danielle Hacksaw's already here to stay. He's a 5-year deal, fills in as well. Alistair Dagenford, brilliant point. The media have had it in for us this season since St Mirren because of what, without a doubt, 100%, mate. And I think this is great. I think this is a great point, Franny. Now, this is how I think. Murrell Watt, it's not Celtic's first year at this level. This cannot be used as an excuse.
It's this team's.
You can't put previous feelings on that.
Right, let's get off the pylon. Let's relax a wee bit. Let's take a breath. I'm going to speak. I think
acted like Stephen there.
I know you did. I think what Murrell Watt says has to me a degree of clout, because I know yes it's this teams and blah blah blah, Franny, but as we spoke about and what I said to Ross, we're through in with the Scottish contingent of clubs in terms of how we're performing. And I think a blind man could see Celtic are performing better than any other Scottish team at the moment. I think that's fair to say. And unfortunately, the results haven't matched up to that. But I think what Murrell was trying to say there is we always perceive ourselves as a Champions League club. And whether it be 5 years ago we were last in the group stage, fair enough, 100%, I get. But we always have to be aimed to be Champions League. And see this whole thing, we're learning. I don't like it. I have to be honest, I don't like it. We have quality players here, internationals all over the pitch. We've got Croatia's #1 right back starting for us, American central defenders starting for us. We've got people in midfield who are internationals. We've got O'Reilly in the Denmark under 21 team scoring goals. So there is.
But who are they playing against? Are they playing against fucking daddies like? They're playing against better players.
Right, again, I 100% get what you're saying, but I'm trying to come on to a point here, Franny. And we spoke about the Scottish clubs, and I think for me, at this precise moment, we should be a bit further on the Champions League level. And to what we are at the minute?
Well, I would agree with that if you were qualifying for the Champions League every season. You would maybe be better because the extra finances would maybe allow you to invest in a higher quality player. Maybe be able to you maybe be able to pay higher wages, higher transfer fees, etc., and all that. But
Can't you see me because I'm fucking frozen?
But I don't like yeah, you can't get away from our record in Europe as a whole, but you can't label that record at Parkhead. Sorry, Angie's team. It just isn't fair. Like, we're saying that you can't label Celtic with Rangers and Hearts, how they're performing in Europe, but yet you're wanting to label Angie's team against previous Celtic teams. Just
he done me there.
That's what I was going to say.
Two for the challenge.
So proud of you. So proud of you.
I'm not trying to make it like there is. Obviously, we'll get into it, but I think obviously Ange isn't devolved any like criticism. I think he did make some questionable decisions on Tuesday, but to question this team against previous Celtic teams, you just can't do that. It's not fair on this team.
Well, again, that's fair enough. I don't think what Merle's trying to say there. We perceive ourselves as a Champions League club, but Jed Thomas, with another great point, Champions League club in size, but we're way off in ability. I tend to agree with that at the moment. And Ross, I want to bring it back to the performances. The performance
Sorry,
of Saturday against.
Can I just say, Stephen, before we go on, you're saying we do perceive ourselves as a Champions League club, right? And for me, us in the Champions League this year, we are learning. Our play deserves better. We've just came up short so far in the final third. But it'll come. I believe it'll come. If we keep making the chances, and it sounds ridiculous because we've kept making them for 4 games and we've not took them, but we will take them and we'll add to the squad again. And if we win the league, which I fully expect us to do, and we go into the Champions League next year, if Ange is backed again, how he's been so far, I believe we'll go into the next level. It's a building process. Sometimes you shoot like that and it just happens right away. Sometimes it takes a wee bit longer. We shot like that to begin with, but the way I look at the Champions League now is how I looked at the start of the league campaign last season in terms of, all right, we're not winning games, we're won 3 and we've lost 3. That was the first 6 games. But you could see what we were doing. And it's the same here. Okay, we've drew 1 and lost 3, but you can see what we're doing. It's just that level of opposition. I know the squad's better, but the level of opposition's better. So that's just where we're at now.
You're like a wee visionary tonight. I love it. Unbelievable stuff.
Stephen, just going back to this, is obviously I think all of us we always expect to win the league, but I think a wee bit as would have maybe said that with the rebuild and stuff that last season we might not have achieved what we achieved, and maybe just some folk are getting carried away with how well Ange has done in one season, and it's just expecting the same thing to happen in the Champions League. But I don't know. I know folk hate the trust the process, but I'm still there with it now. Still there with it.
I believe in the process though. The process is just at a stage. It's at a stage where it's no good enough or it's not at the level of the Champions League, but the process is working, and it's a ladder.
Like we're competing, but just
100%.
if you look at the games in isolation without actually watching them, it doesn't make for great reading. But then if you actually watch the games, it's totally different.
I think in terms of chances created, we're up there in the top 4 clubs in terms of shots on target and things like that. It's quite
loving that, Steve.
Oh yes, we're on top of that. Stats.
That's mad though.
But it's incredible. But unfortunately, we just haven't taken them opportunities. But I do want to talk about the performance against Leipzig at home, Ross. I thought for me it was definitely improved to what we've seen in Germany. I thought Ange, to be fair, tweaked it a bit. The gaps were smaller. The team was compact. We were pressing as a unit, winning the ball back in high areas and creating opportunities. And I mean, Taylor hit the bar. Already hit the post. Giakoumakis probably should have scored. Kyogo missed the header. Endless amounts of opportunities there. But one player I want to talk about first of all, it's quite surprising I'm going to say this actually, is Gregory, because I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And albeit he got rinsed the first game, I thought he couldn't control the pace of their right back and their winger as well. But just thought he dug in. He gave everything on Tuesday evening. And I even said it in our chat. I think I'm beginning to love him. And I don't like saying that because I've been so like, we should probably get a replacement for him. But he's one player, certainly, in this whole Champions League campaign who has took that process and learned from mistakes, in my opinion anyway.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I tell you right, but that's no, it isn't, because that's not what it is. He's a far improved player for a couple of seasons ago when even I was like backing him then. He's far improved. So it's not a matter of told you so. It's a matter of like everybody can see it now. It's just he's just a good player. But I think I don't know if you noticed at the start of the game in the huddle. I know Carter Vickers was the captain. Taylor was doing all the talking. He was the guy doing it. And don't get me wrong, sometimes, greatest respect to Carter Vickers, but sometimes it's very difficult to understand what he's saying. Maybe that's why he's going, I'll just take the reins here, kid. But no, right for there, he's in the huddle, and you can see he's respected. I said it, and I'm sure I said it in the last podcast, when they do the two players and that, and he's always well thought of, good things said about him. But in terms of his performance on the night, I totally agree with Stephen. I thought he was very, very good. But what I will say is, and I'm going to go off topic slightly, I think he was very, very good, but I think he was better because he was protected by Maeda. If Jota had been playing, we might have got, well, there's no might have about it. We would have got far more going the other way off of Jota. But believe you me, Leipzig would have scored far earlier if it hadn't been for Maeda and the work he was doing going the other way, protecting Greg Taylor.
Yeah.
That's
100% agree. Alistair Jack, Greg Taylor has been great this season, but Burnaby needs a run. I thought Burnaby was impressive in the game he played as well.
He was.
Coming to you, Franny, Ross ran a wee curveball there. He mentioned Maeda. We'll talk about them both then, Greg Taylor and Maeda. First of all, Greg Taylor, for me, as Ross rightly said, in that huddle at the start of the game, he was shouting, giving the instructions, and I just thought in the game itself, and you could be, I mean, if you're coming up against that same player who ripped you apart only 2 weeks ago, you're well within your rights to kind of doubt your ability, but he took on the ball. He was getting forward. He was getting involved in the play up the high end of the pitch, tracking back, getting his tackles. Maeda as well, tracking back. But with Maeda, there's a lot of criticism coming his way at the minute because he should have scored that goal as well. I don't know sometimes. And I've seen that people were saying he has no ability as a footballer. He's just a sprinter. I think that maybe is a bit too harsh at the moment to say that. Even Postecoglou said himself he can't throw him on the scrap heap because he's not a finished article. I do see in fits and starts what Maeda can bring to the team. I thought Anne's made the right call, bring them in. I think Ross is correct when he says for the tracking back and his defensive capabilities, running back and helping him and kind of double up on their right winger and right back. But with them two, starting with Taylor first, I just think Taylor's took this level, and he to me he's took it, and I think he's looking well.
We're told it's not the first time we've had humble pie over a player, Stephen, but Greg Taylor's kind of done that in leaps and bounds the last, definitely 12 months anyway. It's not just the last few games. It's been a wee while he's been doing it, and it's like we said, we wanted a left back for competition. Exactly.
100%.
Aye. Maeda was a great player for 6 months, and suddenly he's just rotting the mental. But aye, Taylor. So like I say, we felt we needed cover at left back, a bit of competition for Taylor. Not that we thought his standards were slacking, but any successful team, you can't just have automatic picks. You need guys with competition. Burnaby came in. There was obviously reported off the field troubles. I don't know if that's stopped him progressing so much, like getting so much opportunities in the team, but he's featured a wee bit recently and obviously played at the league game in between the Leipzig matches and played really well. I still fully expected Taylor to play Wednesday just simply because we've not really seen Bernabeu at that level, which is kind of contradictory, because then how do you know if he's got to perform at that level? But I'm trusting Taylor all day long before Bernabeu now. So I think maybe Bernabeu's performances, also we don't see it training, he's maybe doing the business in training as well, which is helping Taylor to go, right, I know I'm doing really well, but this guy's obviously getting a chance. I'll need to make sure my standards keep up to give me myself the best chance to stay in this team. And in that huddle, it shows you like Ross said, it shows you the sort of the respect he's got within the team. It shows you the confidence he's got, that he's willing to take the huddle and do that wee bit. And I totally agree. The Maeda one, like, the guy's known great form in front of goal. That you can see it looks for the outside looking in that he's not got it's a wee bit of confidence issue. But in Europe, Jota's maybe got to give that bit of magic. I know he wasn't fit and stuff, but I think Maeda going backwards, like his defensive work, you've sometimes we've said that before. You play the occasion, play the match, and I think that was why Maeda's in it. It's there to help Taylor. I'll give you that bit going forward, and it's maybe one of the ones where you're sacrificing a wee bit of flair going forward because you need to cover that wing and give Taylor some cover, because you want maybe other players to kind of attack forward and stuff. And I've seen the chance again the first couple of minutes. At the time, I was adamant to have scored that. I still think he should, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it was at the time. It is a harder header.
I know you were.
It was a harder. I still think, as I say, I'm disappointed in his effort, but I've got to cut my wee bit slack. It wasn't as easy as I was making it out to be in Tuesday night. Then obviously had the chance in the second half. I think it was where he hits it with the side of the foot. I think he should definitely be hitting the target there again. And then obviously there's the one where Giakoumakis flicks it on, and Maeda just gets there in front of the boy, and then he just makes an absolute arse of the cross. Let's not get away from it. It has a howler. It's the problem for Maeda.
I never got my head shaved today. I ripped my hair out when he done that.
The problem with Maeda is just picking. It's clear. It's just decisions at the vital moments. He's just getting way wrong now. And like that cross, it was one of the. He's tried to get. I can understand him try to get it in early, even though he had all the time in the world. He's got all the pace in the world to give himself even more space if he really needed it, and getting it in a more dangerous position. But when you're not playing with confidence, it just looked like a confidence decision when he was like, right, I'm just going to try and get this in early. If it comes off, wonderful. And then he just absolutely ballooned it. But I'm not got to sit and batter it, because what good is got to sit battering the guys? If it's a confidence thing, there's no point in us going on his shite. There's no point in the fans. I didn't get the fans getting on his back constantly. It makes no sense to me. I feel like a wee run out the team might help him, but then it could go the opposite way. Sometimes players just need to play through this a bad spell. But obviously, Ange knows him better than us. Ange will know how to coach him through it and how to get him through it. But I'm certainly no one for being on the whipping boy train yet with Maeda.
Well, I mean, when we're stuck in the Bargas train, we can't afford to be on any more trains. You know what I mean, Franny?
Nah.
But see, to be fair as well, Ross, coming back to Maeda, because it's an interesting one. I think when he done that cross, obviously watching him with Granda, and we're two off the cuff characters. The air was turned blue. That's to say, we were absolutely livid that he done that. But seeing you take yourself away from that again, I think it's again a confidence issue. And the fact that Postecoglou addressed it in his press conference points to me that he spoke to him about it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought that up or even said them comments about the scrap heap and he can't put him there because he's not a finished article, because he could read that and take that as if the manager doesn't think I'm good or whatever in terms of my ability. But one thing about Maeda I do love is his work rate, and you can't really deny that because he does run. I think Alistair Jack said it previously here and bring it up. Runs his arse off like Ross in a marathon, 100%. Only difference is Maeda have it done about an hour and Ross took about 7, but sure. But
I scored the goal at the end as well.
And I think Kenny nails this for me. Maeda just needs to calm down and he'll come good again. It's for me decision making. If he does tweaks that and he makes the right choices at the right time and takes that ball a bit further into the box, then again his confidence will start coming back again. It's that simple, isn't it?
Aye, it is. But what I will say is, I think that goes for the majority of the team at that level. I think most of them have made the wrong decision or no executed it to the level that they would in the SPL. I can't put my finger on why it is. Why would I? Do you know what I mean? Ange hasn't so far, but I think it will come. In terms of, see, we are talking about that one when it's been flicked on, and he could run on with it. He's got so much grass to run into, but he decides to go early. If you look at the replay, I've seen it a couple of times. I can see what he's trying to do. Because I can't remember who it is, but somebody's making the run in, and there's maybe Forrest. There's one or two defenders in between him and like where Forrest would receive the ball, and it is one of the ones. If you get it in early and you execute it right, it's on a plate for Forrest, and he's scoring. But it comes down to that quality again, that execution, and it's not just Maeda. Everybody's done it. Haksabanovic plays a beautiful ball in right onto Kyle's head, and he can't take the chance. He can't put it to the side. He has to score every day of the week. It's an easy header, even by his standards. It's just execution. It's quality, but I don't want to say it's no the. I think the quality play we've got is good. They're good enough to take the chances. They've proved that, right? If they've came into Celtic, they're good enough to take chances like that. There's a mental block there. There has to be at that stage. Ange has to work out what it is. He has to get in the players' heads and sort it out. That's his job. It's not mine. That's why I'm sitting here talking to you, drinking a glass of wine on a Friday night. You know what I mean? Making fucking £4 an hour. Can't even put my heat on.
To be fair, it came to light that you write the media press conferences, so you do work close with him in some aspects. But Gio Patrick, even the boys Ross spot on, as most of them have lost their shooting boots. And they talk about more performances, Franny, and I'll come to you first for this. I think we'll have to talk about Jens and Carter Vickers, because I thought they were outstanding. I thought everything they came into the box, they tackled.
So excited about this.
they tackled well, and Carter Vickers, there was one point, I think it was in Kunku, was trying to press him, and he was just holding them off like that, like, get away, and he just took it round him and made the simple pass like we're used to seeing the big Frids do. I thought Jens looked far more settled beside a good centre half. No disrespect, not the level Welsh is. Obviously Vickers is far better. Aye, well, you know, I think Welsh is shite. I've already said that. So
shiter than Julian.
But there was a far better, bigger difference in quality there, and I just thought they complemented each other well. They won everything in the air. The pace they had as well to recover against the likes of Nkunku and Warner was fantastic at times, because there was times in the game it was just them two back and they had to defend for their lives. And I just thought that was one bright spark to take from it, that them two are back together again.
And it was no coincidence that Joe Hart had a good game too.
Well, yeah, Joe Hart as well, yeah, 100%.
But you can see, I think what we've seen on Tuesday is how important Carter Vickers is to the team. It gives other players confidence, like guys like Joe Hart. I think it gives the crowd confidence that they're not the fans aren't on edge and stuff when maybe a Welsh.
You're shit at that, Ross.
I'm really bad.
I'm terrible as well. It just brings a calmness to the whole place, and everybody kind of knows where they need to be. They know, that everything's got to be all right, so to speak, because Carter Vickers is there. There seems to be a massive trust in him, and Jens obviously looked comfy with him, and obviously we know how the relationship Starfelt has with him. But I thought the two of them absolutely. I wouldn't say they totally bossed the game. You can't say that when you get beat 2-0, but exactly, Alistair. Exactly.
I was going to come on to that next.
But I thought Carter Vickers was Jens was really, really good. He stepped out, broke up play well, brung it out and stuff, and won a lot of his battles.
Shut up, money, you fucking Ferrero Rocher.
Go for it, Manny.
I'm only kidding,
And,
Monty. Good to see you in the
what was it
comments,
then?
man.
The Carter Vickers, I thought he was absolutely class, and like that one when Kunku in the second half, it was almost like Carter Vickers invited that sort of we sort of a gym challenge on, if you like, and say, look, just go and try and get it off me, just try and get it off me. And it was just showing that it was the man. He was showing everybody, but it was a really, if you can take any positive from the game, that was a really positive. The defence, unfortunately, my man Juranovic wasn't up to much better times.
I know.
He's
We'll speak about
been great
that.
for a while.
Lately, no, he's not been great lately.
On a day where I seen a post that Celtic, Porteous was warming up for a Celtic audition, Ross, when we face Hibs on Saturday, which we'll come on to, I don't think Porteous coming in is going to do much damage to Jens and Carter Vickers, as he did, because they're outstanding against Leipzig.
I mean, he's no the Porteous is not at the level of any of they two. But I mean, when like Franny had alluded to, and most of it, I think everybody that watches Celtic is fully aware that whichever one of the three play alongside CCV, they become a better defender. They just I think it was Danielle said that it just brings calmness to the situation. But you said last week that Jens wasn't good enough for that level, playing alongside Welsh. Hello.
Listen. No. Don't quote me, because I did not. I said Vickers, like you just did, makes players better. And obviously before he got injured, Jens came in and he played alongside him and he looked fantastic. Jens with Welsh is absolutely horrendous. That's fair enough.
See, I came here saying that I don't think they were horrendous in Germany. I don't think they were horrendous. I don't think they cost us at any point in the game. Don't be wrong. I don't think they looked as assured. I don't think they looked as assured as anybody that plays alongside CCV. But at the same time, I don't think CCV has partnered anybody in as difficult a ground, arena, whatever you want to call it, as the Red Bull one, whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was probably one of our most difficult away ties since Andrews came in. I think that's fair to say. And we didn't have CCV, and we pitched in Welsh and a guy that's just come into the club. And I think they've done okay.
Totally agree with you.
By the way, I wouldn't disagree with that. I would say Porteous is a better player than Welsh. And for the simple reason, Scotland were decimated at the back and Ryan Porteous came in. Steve Welsh, didn't they? They were near it. Ryan Porteous is a better defender than Steve Welsh. That is not even up for discussion, in my opinion. But
100%.
What are we going to get rid of Stephen Welsh? Okay, you could get rid of him, right? Is Ryan Porteous going to come in and go, well, I'm just going to be Stephen Welsh when I'm playing regularly for Hibs, or I could go down south and play regularly? He's not going to. You can't guarantee him regular football at Celtic. He might believe in himself, like a lot of players do, that he can get into the team. But so did Derek Ryden. So did Scott Allen. I know they're no defenders, but they're just guys that are coming to my head.
It still baffles me that Strachan said he was the best natural finisher, and SPL never played him.
He bloody was, but he was just a fucking nugget. Plain and simple. But all the guys thought. So is it going to be beneficial for Ryan Porteous, the player, to come to Celtic? I'm not so sure. But in terms of Celtic, would it be beneficial for Celtic to have Ryan Porteous over Steve Welsh? 100% for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I asked you about Jens and Vicker's performance, and then you just went,
Hey, so do you want me to elaborate on that then? I thought they were really good as a partnership, and I've said for the first time I seen Jens playing alongside Carter Vickers that I would prefer him to play alongside Carter Vickers than Starfelt, and I still stand by that. Well, Jens he was probably the lesser of the two centre halves in Leipzig, terms of he's bringing the ball out, it was very unlike him. He gave the ball away a lot. I don't know why, but for me, he's quite clearly a better defender than Welsh. Ange thinks that because he's picked him over Welsh for the previous game. I think you could. It's sometimes you could look at it and go, right, play the fixture and play Starfelt if you're up against a more physical player. But then at the same time, if that's going to be your partnership going forward, you don't. For me, your centre half, your goalkeeper, you don't really tinker with that. You can move about your other positions and stuff and bring guys in and give guys a rest, but they have to be your mainstays for me because they have to communicate all the time in that back line. They have to know what everybody's doing, corners, free kicks, any set piece. For me, Jens, I know it's unlucky for Starfelt because he's been injured, but for me, looking at what Starfelt done last season, looking at Jens, the player alongside Carter Vickers and the terms of the team that I think Ange wants us to be, then I would say Jens is the guy that would get the nod for me.
Yeah, I think that they complement each other well. And I remember James P came on the show and he said Jens was actually the defender he wanted last year in terms of his first choice. And yeah, so that was quite interesting. But Franny, we'll move on to another fella. I mean, talk about me and William doing our show on Friday and we're giving our predictions and we're like, Matt O'Reilly, never number 6, never. Not good enough in the tackle, not good enough in the press. And he was probably, I'd say, up there with our best players on the night. I thought he was fantastic. He's not afraid to stick the foot in. There were some cracking challenges he put on, sliding, breaking up the play. And it's what I loved as well. Seeing he got the ball and his one-touch passing, bang, in the players' feet all the time. Just getting right up the pitch really quickly instead of dilly-dallying the ball. Thought it was fantastic. Is he the man to fill that void, or do you think it's still an Abelgard or a McCarthy or a Moy?
I think, I don't know about you, but it felt like on Tuesday we played, like we went to a 4-2, sort of 3-1 and had Hatate and O'Reilly in there. So I think maybe in Europe, I can see him playing that 6 where, well, he played the 6 in the league game as well, but I wouldn't say performed very well in the league game. But it was really, really impressive in that role. But I think the formation helped him because it did look like we played. Oh, he is best looking guy in the park.
By the way, I'm getting him before Daniel. Like,
and but I just like we said, we understand why Ange was putting him in there as sort of the deep lying playmaker, like what Callum McGregor does, because we've also got a great range of passing. But we questioned, has he got the dig? Has he got the maybe the intelligence to know where to be to help break up the play and sort of protect the defence? But I think him and Hatate done really good the other night. Hatate, I think, is getting unfair criticism because he was trying the brave pass a lot, and there was a couple of times he tried to roll a guy and get caught out and stuff. But it was one of the ones where he is trying to do the difficult thing. He doesn't take the easy option a lot.
Yep.
But O'Reilly was, I think, he's definitely gave us an option in there. He showed that he can do that role, but I think he maybe needs a Hatate in there to help him out. I'm not questioning O'Reilly's legs. He's a bit like Rogic said at 10 times, but doesn't look the fastest, but nobody seems to get away from him or whatever. So I think just Hatate being in there with a bit of pace and things like that helps him. But I think for the sake of the system and the league and how we like to play that sort of 4-3-3, if you like, I think an Abelgard and a McCarthy or a Moy really need to step up to the plate well in McGregor's absence.
See, that's quite interesting because I thought for me, like at the 6, I know what you're saying, it kind of turned into a 4 and then a 2 defensive minded players, but Hatate was like the free roam, and then Haksabanovic in the 10 who I thought played excellent as well. But for me, Ross, I thought O'Reilly done the hard yards, and I didn't, as Franny rightly said, you look at him, and I class him as a luxury player, but he got stuck in about it. He didn't take no shit. He was jumping for the ball, winning headers, tackling, being strong in that kind of area of the pitch where we're missing, obviously, Cal McGregor, Captain Sorrow from last season as well. But, I mean, he was fantastic for me, and I just thought the calmness and the assurance in himself that he could do that in that kind of stage. Again, other teams will be looking at that going, he can play number 10, number 6. What can this guy not do? I just thought for a guy who, for me, in my opinion, he hit the post, to be fair, Franny. But I just thought for me, in my opinion, like for a fella who I thought maybe went off form last couple of weeks, he fairly come back into it in that game.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you. He play. I think he plays the sort of 10 role better than he plays the 6. But I think certainly for a home game, moving back into the 6 role, I think it suits him all right. He's like you say, he's got. I don't know whether that's off the back. I think he's got a really good range of passing, which we can all see. He's going to go to the top level. He's a very, very good football player. But I don't know. Something like I've said there, away from home in Europe, I don't know if we can rely on him to play that. And I know, like you've said, he did get stuck in. I don't know. I don't know if I would trust that. For me, with Cal McGregor being out, right, the way I'll sort of thought about it is if we're going to play Giacomakis through the middle, right, I think you have to play Haksabanovic in the number 10 role, because I think he's more suited to Giacomakis. I think he'll get the ball in, maybe float it in.
Who said number 10?
Have you said that before?
Twice, I think.
Have you? Aye. Don't know, but for me, well, I obviously agree with you. Then I can't mind you saying it, but I trust you have said it. You aren't the Lively Stephen. No, I'm not the Lively MD. I'm fucking kneecap height, man. But if you're playing Giacomakis through the middle, I think you play Haksabanovic in the number 10. If you're playing Kyogo, I think Matt O'Reilly has to be the number 10. If Matt O'Reilly's going to be number 10, then if Matt O'Reilly's going to be number 10, then I don't know, a fit Abelgard. We've not seen enough of him. Could he be the guy that then plays that number 6 role in the absence of McGregor? And then obviously Haksabanovic playing the 10, you can drop O'Reilly back and he plays that role well. But away from home in Europe, I don't know if I would. It's difficult to say, because I'm saying I don't know if I would risk him as a number 6. But then, would I rather he played the number 6 over a McCarthy? Absolutely. Would I rather he played it over Moy? No so sure. Away from home. I'm not so sure. I think Moy would maybe do a better job away from home because he keeps the ball so well. But I'm not saying for a second that he's a better player than Matt O'Reilly, because he is not. But as an option, possibly. Maybe it's the wine talking, kid.
I think to be fair, like, I didn't know, but apparently for MK Dons, he played that type of deeper role, like a deep line playmaker. He obviously hasn't featured that much in Celtic doing that, but for me, he did look quite good there. And I think in terms of obviously Moy, I've given my opinion on him. I'm not going to go over it again. I think
he done well when he came on the other night.
He done all right.
But I think the 2 substitutions were the wrong substitutions.
Yeah, 100%.
I get what you're saying. But then,
right off the bat,
he's maybe not done it for. Sorry, Steve. He's maybe not done it for a tactical reason. He's maybe done it in terms of they were blowing out their arse.
Aye.
Because when you're watching it in the telly, maybe it doesn't look like it, but they could be having conversations. You need to be half gaffer, I'm fucked. You know what I mean? I know I wouldn't have said that, but you know what I mean.
I don't know what I said.
I thought the subs did hamper the team, in my opinion. You're bringing off
like Tumble and Moy. It was 2 players came off.
But people are quick to judge and go, well, that was the wrong. Okay, it was the wrong sub with hindsight. But we don't know if like they're going, I've got an angle here, or by the way, I'm fucking, I can't run anywhere for you. like these guys have ran me ragged. You don't know the conversations that's
I
going on.
appreciate we're making these comments and benefit of hindsight. I just think it's like what Egyptian King said, that we are lately finishing a lot of games with defensive midfielders.
Yeah. I
agree with that. Aye. So I agree with that.
I think though, like a quick word before we move on to their goals. I'll come to you individually. Obviously, Franny, you first. Haksabanovic, a player for me who seems to be taking it by the scruff of the neck. I thought he was excellent, drifting in and out of positions and stuff like that. He has that kind of burst of speed over 2 yards and he dies on his arse, but that burst of speed gets him a shot on goal or a cross into the box, which Kyogo should have scored from. I'm excited to see more of him going forward. Like,
I definitely, the last few games, he has really impressed me. Obviously, Tuesday I thought he was really good. He looked really confident on the ball and stuff, and found his cell in nice wee pockets and to pick the ball up and make things happen. Like you say, he had that cross, like it was a nice wee cross into Kyogo. I think Kyogo should score for there. I know it's 12 yards out and it's a header, but I think when you see it, he should be scoring it. And it maybe once apparently can play out wide as well, so that's obviously going to benefit us. And then obviously after the World Cup, when McGregor's back, if O'Reilly is the guy that plays that number 6 role, it gives O'Reilly competition in that 10. So then it drives both players forward. So long term it should be beneficial. But he's certainly a player that looks of real European quality. Like he looks a real quality player and a real good find in the sense that I think we managed to exploit obviously the situation in Russia, the way their teams have got to let players go for like really minimum fees and stuff. So I think it's been, I think we actually had scouted, maybe tried to get him when Ange first came in, but I think he just went there or something. There was reasons that we couldn't get him, but I think it was clearly had an eye on him, keeping looking at him, and then went and got him when we could. But I'm really excited to see what this guy can give to the team. It does look a real decent player. Like,
yeah,
it's no bad looking either as well. It's another good looking boy as well.
Well, I mean, he has a thing on his neck with his name underneath it. That's a bit kind of.
You've got to be a bit ballsy to do that. Like, be a bit about yourself. You can do that.
There you go, kid.
I've said it before, Ross. To me, he looks like a Chris Cummins type player, just kind of that flair over the couple of yards and both feet, good at pinging balls. I think, to be fair, he deserves his chance.
Yep, absolutely, and I totally agree with the Chris Commons comparison. If he adds, Chris Commons scored a lot of goals for Celtic. If he adds goals to the level that Chris Commons did, then we've got a really good player on our hands. I've got it. And by the way, he's played in a number of positions now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like him in the 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think I prefer him there. And
Kick it all day, boys.
And I know you're a fucking cock. I think I do like him there. That's where Chris Commons played. See that gets out of his feet and he just finds that ball right into Kyogo. For an angle, you shouldn't find that ball, by the way. Finds it
within the width for the box, isn't it?
Aye, it was a perfect. That's what he can do. That's what he can bring to the team. I think he's quality, and I think given a run of games, I think he could really stake a claim for that, just that position. And I know we're talking about he's up against O'Reilly for that, but at the minute he's not, because O'Reilly he can play the 6. But I'm sort of contradicting myself because I've already said that if Haksabanovic plays the 10, O'Reilly, you can shit. But at the same time, you could still play the two of them in that midfield three, and just depending what striker you play.
Yeah, 100%. And here's one for you, Ross. That cross you talked about, do you think Gigi would have scored that?
100%. 100% said it at the time. Back of the net, ripped.
Yeah,
tap off. Well, us screaming, banging my head off the telly. Yep, goal.
He was, to be fair, as you said, Franny, that ball was not there to be played. It was just the way he just whipped it. And he just found Kyogo unfortunately another missed opportunity. But we'll talk about their goals quickly.
But it was Ross that said that.
I know you did, but you kind of elaborated on it by saying it's in the width of the goalpost. So I was taking your comment, elaborating on it, and giving you it back. So shove it right up, you dickhead. But we'll talk about their goals. We'll talk about Leipzig scoring, and their first goal, Franny, was by former Chelsea man Timo Werner, who for me didn't really impress much of the two games, but Silva was fantastic. Kind of bounced off the tackle he got in the box, ran with it, took Juranovic out of the game. I think you're right to say, by the way, Juranovic wasn't great, especially in them European games as well. But crossed in, Werner, bang, header, bottom corner. Nothing really much you could do about it.
No, I think the real, obviously, if you look at every goal, there was probably moments that you could stop it. I think Juranovic misjudges the flight of the ball. If he probably picks that ball up better, headers it, maybe puts out for a corner or a shy, or it stays in, it might develop into a goal. But what you've done is you've defended that first initial ball getting to Silva, and then you maybe got a chance to deal with it. Once Juranovic gets caught underneath it, then obviously bounces off him and stuff, and Silva gets across him. Werner's just standing kind of in acres, and it's a really nice header. There's nothing Joe Hart can do for there. I think for Leipzig point of view, both goals, I know we're going to say, but both goals are really good goals, but I think Juranovic needs to try and deal with, like, judge the flight of the ball better, try and deal with them, and then regroup for there and deal with the situation from there. Give yourself a wee chance to get the sort of defence settled. But it was a really good header. The only blame I could give there is probably Juranovic getting trapped under the ball. Yeah,
I think that's the glaring one there, Ross. And I mean, for yourself, the second goal, Forsberg come off the bench, another cracking player, Swedish international, kind of runs, and I think O'Reilly kind of died on his feet trying to track him back. Turnbull got a bit lazy in my opinion, only on the pitch. Finds himself free in the box for a cutback. Another great finish. And I think you talked about it. It's the fine margins at this level. We don't take our chances. They get basically two and score from them.
I mean, well, to be fair to them, they did get more than two opportunities, but they were the two really good opportunities that they got. Not clear cut, but really good opportunities, and they took them. You touched on Turnbull there for that goal. I was fucking seething with him at the time because the ball was, I can't mind exactly, but I can just remember. What's he like for the first name?
I think that means he likes the show. I'm taking that as that, but yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I was absolutely seething with Turnbull because I can't remember. Was it Werner that played it into Forsberg?
Yep. There's a cutback.
Werner, he gets time to take it down, right? Turnbull's no near him, but he's running back. There's another midfielder running back, another Celtic midfielder running back alongside Forsberg, but Turnbull's fairly close to him, and all he's doing is looking at the ball, just staring at the ball, and I'm like, he's just let him run off you right into space and allow him to have a touch 8 yards for goal. Right into the net, right into the top corner of the net. You've got to be aware of the guy inside you. I was fucking fuming. And you could ordinarily put it down to fatigue, tiredness.
Can't put down fatigue for Turnbull. He's on the pitch.
That's what I'm just saying. That's why I said you could ordinarily put it down to that. Calm your hamstring in there.
Using too much from Ross, he doesn't understand that.
No, but you could ordinarily put it down to that. There's no excuse. He let the man, and by the way, I can't mind who it was running in alongside him. You could say he does it too.
It was O'Reilly.
Aye, but O'Reilly's better looking. But I was really annoyed with Turnbull in that moment.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't solely his fault, but he just let him go, and he was attracted to the ball. And no in terms of like running towards the ball, he just looked at it and just was like, "Oh, there's the ball coming out. Oh, it's a goal." What are you doing, man? Fucking totally look agree. At the
man. I was raising as well because when you look at it, you say looked at the ball, but he didn't even make an attempt to get, as you said, go and close the man down who's going to cross it.
It's too late then.
Or stick Forsberg for the run. He just let him drift by. Timo Werner just had to look up, and it was bang, and it was clean into his path. One strike finish, or a touch to control it, and then a strike. they even get that time in the box is a bit shambolic as well. But we'll move on from that.
I liked, sorry, Steve, I like Turnbull, and I've advocated for him to be, he'll be an integral part, not integral, but he's a big part of the squad. He's a big player. He can still come in and do a job, but he's not going to be a starter. We can see that now. He was a starter in the early part of last season, but we've got better players in now. Matt Riley's a better player. Haksabanovic is a better player, you have to say. But to have Turnbull, if he's willing to still stay with Celtic, as part of the squad, in terms of going for a league title, then you need him and you take him. What's Ross is the ball, Keith? I don't even know what that means.
I think he meant to say bald, Keith Lemon. But I think what Daniel says here is right as well. European football is totally out of his level, his range. I think he's decent when we're against teams who are packing the box and defending deep. He can pick the pass, look up. And Kaiser made a great point there. He said that Celtic need basic training and picking their heads up and looking around sometimes and just kind of picking their passes and being more kind of assertive in what they're doing.
But I think they see the pass. I'll push back on that and say I think they see the passes, but sometimes, I've said it a couple of times, I think they see the passes, I think the execution isn't there.
100%. But we'll move on from that game. Finished 2-0. Third defeat of the Champions League campaign. 1 draw. We're on 1 point. And today, Franny, Postecoglou, and I'm going off topic here because I didn't put it down, but we'll talk about it anyway. I thought it was quite good. Was questioned basically on Celtic's kind of level. Do we deserve to be at that level? As he always does, backs the club 100%. Comes out and says, basically paraphrasing, of course, here, forgive me, but along the lines of, you can't tell me watching them 4 games that didn't compete and we don't belong at this level, all that type of stuff. Again, although I'm a wee bit angry that I think we could have done better, it's still great to see him coming out back to the club with all he's got, really, against the mainstream media.
Well, along with that, it's if he starts questioning how they're playing, it's questioning his style, it's questioning his ability. Does he deserve to be at that level then? If he's saying, oh, well, we didn't deserve to be here, do I deserve to be here? For me, that's what he's got to then back the team, he's got to back himself, because that's the way he believes he's got to get results. So if he sits and says, oh, I don't think we should be there, it's almost conceding that he's above his station being in the Champions League. So it goes back to, like, obviously Ross pretty much said his press conference straight off the bat. But
he did, didn't he?
I didn't even see it, I never even watched it.
Yeah, you did. You wrote it.
We know you did write it, because it's almost word for word, sir. But,
listen, I can't help it if I think the exact same way as the manager.
But it's just one of them. It did call it out. It's what we've all said. We did make a good account for ourselves. We just weren't clinical. And Gordon Strachan even said that after the match. It's just sometimes you come up against better teams, and this is what will happen. But yeah, we definitely deserve to be there. And given time and stuff, if we go into the Champions League next season, I believe we'll acquit ourselves better. And you would hope, and certainly looks like the type of manager, the players seem like the type of players that learn from mistakes, that learn from previous games. And I believe going like next season, we will make hopefully a better fight in the Champions League. We will learn from this experience and go into the next campaign with maybe more confidence in what they need to do, where they need to improve and things like that. But I thought it was a top class interview for Postecoglou once again. Like, I think even straight off the bat, he said to the guy, so do you think I should just get up and just concentrate on domestic stuff? And the guy said yes. And he was like, just laughed at the guy.
Sharon actually said to me, like, she knows, like my wife, she knows nothing about football, but I had that on earlier on. She was like, the guys must hate him because he just like, and I'm like, yep, but we all love him.
Friday, I thought that Ross said he doesn't watch it.
I know.
The
roll of the eyes.
But here, I tell you one thing.
Watched it and said it.
Gio Patrick comes in, Ross. Fair enough, he says the correct thing, but we all know we're way off being a competitive team at Champions League level. we can only learn and give it a go, which is correct. So I'm going to kind of merge.
Not way
Not
off.
correct.
Not way off.
You can't
Not way
can't
off.
agree with Angie's comment and then say we're not competitive.
No,
You can't say we're way off.
listen, Jesus, wasn't me that said it.
I know.
You said it was correct.
I'm saying to the fella.
I'm saying
name,
if you look at it this term, I'd say about 2 or 3 players short of competing properly, like in terms of rotation and things like that. But what I was going to say to you, Ross, to tie it in with the kind of thing we were going to talk about, this Parkhead no longer being that type of fortress. Kind of, we're 7 games, the Champions League level, 7 defeats at the moment, which isn't quite good. And basically, no. Listen to me, Ross. Stop jumping down my throat, man.
No, not yours. No. I hate that. I hate stats like that. It fucking pisses me off.
Well, don't watch Stats Drop. You'll hit that. But you look at it in terms of that. It doesn't sound great, obviously, when you hear it. There's obviously motives and teams are playing different levels and all that, of course. You tied in with what Aaron said today. In terms of we belong to this level, we compete at. I do agree with that. I thought we were excellent over the 4 games. Just didn't take our chances. A wee bit naive here and there. But going forward, like Franny said, it has to be this year, has to be the learning process, and next year we have to be better in the Champions League if we get there. Have to be.
100%. Aye. Like, how can you say that to me after what you've said to me previously about it's been a disaster, it's been a failure?
Yes, I still agree. It's a failure, 100%.
But then how can you caveat that and say this has to be a learning process and it has to be
because
we have to
if we have to make different assertions or whatever for this campaign, this is the only campaign we can do it in. I believe wholeheartedly we should have done better. I believe we should have competed better. We should have scored more goals. We should have took more points, but we didn't. And people are saying learning process. I'm taking that on board. I'm saying this has to be the learning process. Next year can't be going, oh, we're getting used to this. Here's a new player in this position. Blah, blah, blah. That has 100%. To stop. That whole chat has to stop.
100%. And I think Ange, he self-alluded to that. I know he said, if we've been in this, if this was like our 5th year in it, then I'd be having a different conversation. That's fine. He's saying 5 year, right? But I totally agree. Next year, if we don't, if we play at the same level next year and we still don't take our chances, then I've got an issue. And by the way, we might not play at the same level next year and take chances and do better. It's just your luck. It's just the way games go. It's just how football is. Sometimes you can play not that good and get away with one. That might happen next year, and then you'll go, we were actually not as good as like we were last year, and we've got through. Like, it's the way it is. It's like I failed my driving lesson, my driving test twice. I thought I was really good the first 2 times. Failed. Thought it was absolutely garbage the 3rd time I passed. Don't know how, but
that's crap. That's crap.
That crap is it?
Can't. What I'm saying is, right. Again, I don't get this whole thing where you can say next year we could not perform the level we get through. That's fair enough, right?
No, I'm not saying we could. That could happen. But what I'm saying is, like, I agree with you. Next year, if we perform the same way, my sole point was, right, I sort of went off on a tangent, but my sole point is, if we perform at the same level next year and we still don't take our chances, then I'll have an issue. The minute I'm giving them a bit of slack.
I'm pretty sure you said you'd have an issue if we got beat at home by Leipzig when we were on.
No, I didn't say I'd have an issue.
I think you did.
No, I said I would take a draw in that game.
But you said it'd be an issue if we got beat. You wouldn't like it.
No, and I don't like it. But what I did say was, because you asked me how I would feel, and I says I can't give you an opinion because I've not seen the game. But if we compete, which we did, then, and we lose, then it's I'm not happy about it. But we've still competed and we're still showing that we can play at this level. I'm not happy about losing. Never happy about Celtic getting beat. But I don't know. Listen, if we go next year and we play the exact same way and we still fail, then I'll start asking serious questions. But at the minute, I'm looking at this Champions League campaign the same way I looked at, like I've said earlier, the same way I looked at the early stages of our league campaign. And I know, again, I'll say it, we had a lesser quality player at the start of the league campaign than what we've got now, but we were playing against a lesser quality player at the start of the league campaign, but we are playing in the Champions League. And that's why I'm giving them a bit of slack. And we all talk about this, trust the process. I fully believe in the process. I think it's working. But you need to, there's stages in the process, and it's working at a domestic level. Absolutely. We've won 2 trophies. We're top of the league at the minute. Okay, bit in different form. But that happens. And it's working in the Champions League apart from that final wee bit. For me, the next stage is for it to work in the Champions League if and when we get there, and execute that final wee bit and be more clinical in the final third. And then, if that happens, amazing, we'll all be loving it. If it doesn't happen, big questions.
Fair enough. I mean, I do get what you're saying. And Franny, I think Ross makes great points, but we'll kind of round off the Champions League talk before we go on to Hibs with just one simple thing. There's likely no European football after Christmas unless, I know what you will say anyway, there's a magnificent return of results and we end up getting a fair place. I know we spoke in a obviously Champions League reaction show. We had a good laugh and stuff like that, giving our predictions, some third, some second. No one said fourth. And I think personally for me, again, I'll say it, Ross, I think the whole campaign in Europe this season has been a downright failure. Not getting Europa League football for me is a failure. Not getting more points in the Champions League, I won't go as far as saying failure, but it's disappointing in that aspect. I always thought third place would be kind of the benchmark we would always get to, and not getting there for me, Franny, isn't good enough, regardless what process you're in. We're 1 year into the process. We've done quite well in the Europa League last year, and the Conference League. We beat some good teams. We went toe to toe with them, albeit got knocked out by Bodo Glimt, and then we went to the Champions League. We were all full of confidence when that draw was made, all of us, and we can't deny that. We're facing the
feeling
prospect
confidence before we played Bodo last year.
Yeah, no, I know, but I always the realist. I said they're a good team, 100% it did, and it turned us over. So, and that's what happens. But what I'm saying, fourth place, Franny, no matter where you are in a process, is not good enough.
Well, it depends on how you finish in fourth. Because, like I said earlier, Stephen, 7 points got us through on Tuesday night. 7 points now gets us last. So if we finish with 7 points, you can't turn around and tell me and finish last. We can't go and say that's a failure in the Champions League when you like. How many teams will have 7 points and finish last? I doubt that happens very often. So, but if we finish last with 1 point,
won't.
I don't think we will.
Shakhtar.
But I think if you finish with 1 point, I would understand the argument for a failure, and I think it'd be a fair criticism to say that it's not been the best campaign if you only get 1 point in the Champions League. But to say it would be like a disaster, I don't think it's a disaster due to the way we've played in the Champions League. We have played really well up till now. We have played really well, and as I say, I wouldn't go as far to say it's a disaster just simply because of the fine margins. I keep going back to that the whole 7 points thing, but I think the way we've competed in the Champions League has been promising. So it's just one of them. And it's just one of them. It's the Champions League. There's no easy groups in the Champions League. We've came up against the team that are the Champions League, Real Madrid. Shakhtar Donetsk are literally fighting for their lives. And then hang with Leipzig aren't a bad team. They're like one of the fittest teams in Germany, I think, as well. So it's been for performance-wise, it's been positive. But obviously, results-wise, it's not been great. And like Ross and that said, that going into next season, I think if you're there, that's when it's maybe a more fairer way to judge it. And like you, Stephen, maybe if we bring back that fortress intimidating Parkhead, that'll get us 8 points if the crowd are allowed in that.
A nice tongue-in-cheek comment. A nice tongue-in-cheek comment.
All the top world-class players start fearing coming to Parkhead.
Onion, mate. That's not.
By the way,
that's not what I'm saying. I'm not what I'm saying at all.
I'd be bored with that argument, folks saying, "Oh, Parkhead's a fun place to be."
See the way you say that. That's so ignorant saying that. It's so ignorant saying that.
Did guys like Del Piero, Trezeguet, all them? Did they?
So you happy reading quotes? You happy reading quotes?
We applauded them.
BT Sport, and that. Piss off, man. There's a whole lot of balls. All this happy clapping shit that people do.
No, that's mad.
Not good enough. Not good enough.
Intimidating atmosphere and all that. It's a myth, mate. It's a myth. You're buying into a sort of social media culture.
I'm not saying for 1 minute.
It's an intimidating atmosphere when we get a goal up.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing atmosphere and it's loud. If we get a goal up, it's a different level altogether.
Mm-hmm. It's
very difficult to get a goal up. And that's that's what we need to strive for at the minute. But by the way, I seen. Can I just touch on? I seen Kaiser saying something about how we've no won the European. Something along the lines of no won the European Cup for 67. How long is this process? Was it Merrill?
Yeah.
Whoever it was, apologise. But how long is this process? Like for me, the process is Ange came in. Ange came in, right? We were in total disarray. He came in, he steadied the ship. We won 3 to 6 games in the league. People were up in arms. Is this going to be the man? The media, all the rest of it. A lot of most of the Celtic support backed him. He then started to what's it?
We'll have the frowning as we water bottle.
He then started to implement his style, and the players were starting to believe in it. It was starting to work. We won a cup in December, right? But before that, we played Midfield in the Champions League in a qualifier, right? And everybody was fucking up my arms. We should have qualified, right? And I said then that it was too early in the process, and it was. We then, as I said, we won that cup. Then we pushed on again. We kicked on again into the new year, and we ended up winning the league. With a tremendous league run, we won the league. That was a league and cup double in Angie's first season, right? Then we got automatic qualification for the Champions League. We added to the squad. Still in the process, right? We added to the squad. Then we got into the Champions League. Still in the process. And, first of all, we then play Bodo Glimt in the process. And we're playing amazing in the league. We're ready to win the league. And we come up short against Bodo Glimt and everybody's up my arms again. But for me, it's still part of the process. We came up short. The reason we came up short is because it was probably a wee bit too early in the process. And I've alluded to earlier on the podcast that sometimes, like when Martin O'Neill came in, they spent a lot more money than Postecoglou did. Sometimes you can go for John Barnes to there really quick. We've went for Neil Lennon, and Ange's doing it like that because he is doing it with
100%. Totally agree with that.
Right, I agree with that. Dave. That's why I alluded to there might be a mental block in the Champions League, but I'll go back to it. Lost my train of thought. I was full flow there. So we played Bodo Glimt, and before that we were on the way to winning the league title. We were amazing. We were flying. We played Bodo Glimt, and we got our arses felt. We got a sore face, but we still pushed on and won that league. But in that process, and I know you can gauge it, and this is me gauging it as we go. So in that process, we thought we were doing amazing. We get caught out, but we still went on and won the league. Ange, for me, is doing a ladder effect, right? Because unlike any other manager, who I've seen as a Celtic manager, he's got a style, he's got a vision. I don't think any other manager did. I don't think Gordon Strachan had a style. I don't think he had a vision where he wanted this club to be. I think he came in, he was on a 3-year contract, and he's went, right, I'll see what I can do in 3 years. Ange's on a rolling contract because he is here indefinitely in his mind. And he's going, right, I've got a style, I've got a vision. I don't know how many years it's got to take, but I've not got a... And everybody says, I would love to see Celtic tie him down, but at the same time, he's looking at it going, well, I'm going to be here however long it takes to get to where I want this club to be. So again, we go by the Bodo Glimt, we win the league, going into the next season, we're into the Champions League. I know I'm fucking grown here, by the way, right? We're getting to the
I
Champions
like
League.
it. I like
And
it.
it's the next stage, it's the next rung in the ladder, right? We've came to it. We've came up a wee bit short again. But as long as we go on again, but it's the next stage because last season we didn't qualify for the Champions League. This season we did, and we're playing at that level. And we're competing. There's no way the Celtic team that didn't qualify for the Champions League last season would compete at that level. So we've moved on. We've got better. Next year, I believe we'll win the league again. I don't see any way how we can't. If we add a cup to that, great. But the league is the one. That takes you into the Champions League again. And if we keep going the way we're going, it's like that all the time. It's slower, and we want instant success, but we've got instant success because we've got instant success in the league, in the domestic cups. We've got that. We'll get it again this season, I fully believe, domestically. But we have to be more patient with Ange in Europe.
I like that. I like that. So that I like that. I think as well, different opinions, isn't it? That's what it's about. Ross, you're more patient. Franny, I think me and you, like, let's be honest, we're a wee bit, we want stuff now, we want stuff right away.
Aye.
You've said that before. I've heard you saying it, so I'm not wrong there. But I think you rounded. I think you rounded that off, Ross, perfectly well.
I was talking a bit pish as well, but I got to my point eventually.
Just to kind of go to the comments here, you got a bit of support from Kenny, absolutely 100% spot on. Egyptian King, Ans gets a new contract, and Gio gets a front row seat at the Dole office. Stubbsy's horse. We didn't just struggle in the CL. We have been struggling against Premier, Cannon, Fodder 2. Leipzig haven't taught us a bigger lesson than St Mirren. We are off it regardless of the opposition. Maybe a wee bit harsh.
We are off it.
Yeah. And then Kaiser, FIFA lands. There you go. And the Kaiser's backing up there as well. But we'll kind of round off the Champions League chat because I'm sure we'll talk about it in the game after, hopefully, a positive result against Shakhtar. But we'll go into this Hibs game. Home kickoff, Franny. Couple of injuries to talk about. I know Starfelt's still out. There's rumours about Maeda being injured. Abada's back. He was in training. Couple of who else pulled up? Jada's out as well, so he won't be playing. I think Taylor. There was a talk about Taylor having the wee injury as well, but I don't know if he's out. But get into the game. Battle of the Greens, as the Celtic Twitter call it. Lee Johnson for Hibs. Couple of indifferent results. I seen him do a quote there recently saying, "If stats win games, Hibs would be top," or something like that. Absolutely incredible to say that, even though they're getting smashed as well. But yeah, where do you see it going? Do you think we're going to? I mean, the last couple of times we've done this, we've predicted comfortable victories off the back of Champions League games. It hasn't went like that.
No, I know, but I'm going to go back to type and say it's going to be a comfortable day. I just, like, we have got a fairly decent record against Hibs I think at Parkhead, so I don't see much change in Hibs. Although we're sitting third, have been indifferent. I think there maybe, it's probably wrong to say a false position, but teams like Hearts have struggled because of European football. Dundee United, I didn't think have done as well as what we thought would do. Ross County have maybe been a lot poorer and things like that. So Hibs have rightly taken advantage of that, but I do think it'll be comfortable enough. Obviously, I didn't know guys like Maeda and Taylor might not be making the game, so it might change things up and team might be, I wouldn't say disjointed, but players maybe playing that you wouldn't expect when maybe Hacks of Annex will maybe need to go out wide where we'd have maybe preferred them in the middle of the park and stuff like that. But I'm expecting a fairly comfortable afternoon. Wee bit of pressure off when knowing that we can't qualify for the Champions League. Maybe it's just a wee bit of pressure off the players' shoulders, and it'll just hopefully I fully expect the crowd to be behind the team, and I'm the wee sort of sticky patch that we've been on. I think this could be the start of us coming out it.
Line up and score predictions, Franley. You're on a roll. Let's bring it home.
Line up. So the back with Joe Hart obviously in goals. I think Juranic will keep his place. CCV and Jens, and I'm going to stick with Taylor only because I didn't know he was injured. That's what I had in. But if you're telling,
I think it's him. There was talk of a few players being out. I think he was one of them.
I've got to keep the same back five as Tuesday. In the midfield, I think we'll go back to that three, and I think it'll be O'Reilly, Hatate, and Haksabanovic. And I think the front three, again, I wasn't sure about Maeda, so I had him in my team. So I'm keeping him in there because I didn't know he didn't play. I know you said the bad is back, but I'm actually going to stick my neck on the line. I think James Forrest will start at right mid, out in the right. And I want him to start Giacomakis, but I think it'll be Kyogo.
Fair enough. Still a strong team. I'll go. For me, I think as well, the whole comfortable win. Like
I'll go 3-0.
3-0. Fair enough. We've been atrocious predicting these results recently.
I
know I got it right last week, 2-1, and Haksabanovic at the 10. I'll take it, but ever since that, probably nothing in terms of weeks previously. But I'll go. For me, Hibs have been a bit indifferent. I like Lee Johnson as a manager. I've followed him a wee bit in Bristol now when he managed down there. I like his kind of philosophy and stuff, but sometimes he talks like an absolute dictionary and he makes no sense. Probably suited the Hibs, to be honest, hot and cold. But,
sounds like me.
But for me, I'll go Hart, Ralston, Carter Vickers, Jens, Burnaby. I'll go O'Reilly, Hatate, Haksabanovic, Big Giacomakis up top, with either side of him Abada and Forrest. So Forrest on the left, Abada on the right. Yep. And I'll go 2-0 Celtic. What about you, Ross? You're laughing at me, you duck.
I've got the exact same team as you, Stephen.
Oh, nice.
Exact same team. What score did you go for?
2-0.
2-0. I'm going 6-1 then.
6-1. Wow.
Nah, listen, originally I thought 2-0, but we've got the exact same team, so I'll just mix it up a bit and go 6-1. It could happen. That's what that's. Sorry, Frank.
I hope it does start Giacomakis, but I just think he's
got he's got to start him, man. He deserves it.
He has to start. 100%. He has to start.
And by the way, can we just? I know we never touched on it in the talking about the Leipzig game, but how did VAR no look at that?
No.
With Giacomakis, that was. I'm not saying it was a stonewall penalty, but it was worth a fucking look.
Is it bad? I think he should have scored, regardless.
He's been
pulled. He's been pulled. I think he's been pulled. He feels the pull, and he sort of maybe I'll no score, so I'll exaggerate the fall, and he misses the header. Then I don't know. I'm not saying it was a stonewall penalty, but it was worth a look.
I think he should have thought about that later and took the opportunity. It was on a plate.
I agree with that.
On a plate. But he needs to start. The big man deserves to start. He got our last minute winner in McDermott Park and stuff. Kyogo, for me, has been off it. And maybe we rested to him fine. I think we better rejuvenation into him. Make him well.
He wants a goal, but Giacomakis maybe gets a start, gets the defence knackered and stuff, then Kyogo's pace coming on, and then he gets an easy chance.
100%, man. I think it will be a good game. Obviously, big service, Parkhead, back at home and stuff like that, which would be great to see. But to kind of round off the podcast, just to remind everybody, sponsors, Beer 52, beer52.com/Celts. Mate, we're an hour and a half in. I'm a bit tired. I want to chill out. And I don't have a write down, to be honest. So
well, that's fine.
Well, it's been a great show. But beer
It has.
52 /Celts. Get your free case of beer and us. Cover the postage. All fine and dandy. Lovely beers and that. Super Six, get your scores in. And also as well, hats off to Miguel Lustig, who retired from football this week.
Did
Good luck
he?
to you, mate.
Oh,
Yeah, unbelievable player for Celtic.
Fucking love that guy.
Retired in Sweden. Kaiser actually reminded me in the comments, so just want to give me mention to him. We will be back again on Monday, hopefully after a positive result. Still top of the league and looking down. But until then, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.